Hi everybody, welcome to Unit 2. So this is Unit 2, Lesson 1, Proportional versus Non-Proportional Tables. So in Unit 1, we spoke about unit rates, where we had two different quantities, right, like dollars and hours. Now we're going to talk about how the dollars and the hours are related, okay? Just like we have relationships in life, right? You have your relationship with your siblings, your brother and your sister, with your friends, with your parents, all right? We have relationships in math. So we have two types of relationships that we're going to talk about in this unit. There's proportional and non-proportional, all right? So let's look at the first example. Susan helps her aunt by babysitting her cousin. The table below shows how much money she made and the number of hours she worked. So let's just look at the table. The first column, we call the first column the X's, okay? It's the number of hours, and the second column, or the Y's, are the number of dollars. So this means in 1 hour, Susan made $5. In 2 hours, she made $10. In 3 hours, she made $15. And in 4 hours, she made $20. Right? So now let's think about how do we get from column X to column Y, right? Is there something that we can do to the X value, or the 1, that would give us the Y value? If you guessed multiply by 5, you're correct, right? If we do 2 times 5, we get 10. 3 times 5 is 15, and 4 times 5 is 20. Good. So if we look at this as a unit rate, if I was going to find the unit rate of this first row, I would find the dollars per hour. So notice the dollars is on top. So 5 over the number of hours, which is 1, which gives us 5. So the unit rate is $5 an hour. If we do the same thing in the second row, it's the same thing, right? $10 in 2 hours gives us 5. $15 in 3 hours gives us 5. And 20 divided by 4 gives us 5. Okay? So we get the same unit rate for each row. Note that the unit rate of 5 is constant, meaning the same. So we say that 5 is the constant rate. So we know that 5 is the unit rate, and we have it's constant. Constant means it's the same for each row. Okay? So keep that in mind. So Susan's unit rate is constant. Now let's look at Vanessa. Vanessa helps her neighbor by babysitting their children. The table below shows how much money she made and the number of hours she worked. So in 1 hour, she made $5. In 2 hours, she made 14. In 3 hours, 15. And in 4 hours, 16. So let's look. How can we get from 1 to 5? We can multiply by 5, right? Now to get from 2 to 14, we can't multiply by 5, right? 2 times 7 is 14. 3 times 5 is 15. And how can we get from 4 to 16? Yep, we can multiply by 4. Good. So this example with Vanessa is a little different because all of the numbers are different. So let's just check that out for the unit rates, right? The dollars per hour is $5 for 1 hour, which equals 5. $14 for 2 hours. 14 divided by 2 is 7. 15 divided by 3 is 5. And 16 divided by 4 is 4. So all of these numbers, or all of these unit rates, are different. Okay? Is the unit rate the same for each row? No, it is not. So in this table, there is no constant rate because they're all different. Okay, so this is just a screenshot of Susan's babysitting table and Vanessa's babysitting table, okay? And here's the point of this lesson. we can say that the money earned is proportional to the number of hours worked because the rates are equal. So the relationship between dollars and hours is proportional because the number of hours worked or because the unit rates are equal. Right? For Vanessa, the money earned is non-proportional to the number of hours worked because the rates are not equal. Okay? We could use the word equal, or we could use constant, or we could use not equal, meaning not constant. All right, so here's a summary. If the rates of two quantities are equal, then the quantities are proportional. If the rates of two quantities are not equal, then the quantities are not proportional. So let's look at this example. Is the relationship between miles and hours proportional or non-proportional? Take a look. If you need to pause it, and think about it. Okay. So you can see you can multiply all of the x's by 20 and it will give you the number in the y column. If we find the unit rate for each column, you can see that we get 20 each time. So let's fill in the blanks. The relationship is proportional because the rate is constant, right, or equal. Let's look at one more example. Is the relationship between miles and hours proportional or non-proportional? Pause it and think about it. Okay, let's see. We can multiply by 4. Let's see what happens if we multiply by 4. I'm sorry. 1 times 4 is 4. 3 times 4 is 12. And we can't do 5 times 4, right? We have to do 5 times 5 to get 25. So we can already tell that these numbers are different. Let's find the unit rate. Dollars over pounds, 4, 4, and 5. Good. And I just noticed I put a different unit here, but that's okay. The numbers still work. So the relationship is non-proportional because the rate is not constant.